y'all, it's Heel Heat time.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Heel Heat. My name is George Coles, and on this episode, we're going to do a prediction challenge. What is the challenge? We're going to predict SummerSlam 2018 versus our good friend, my brother from another mother, Poppa Pickett from Gamers Never Grow Up. If you may have seen, we've done a few of these in the past, so we're continuing on that trend. I'm going to jump right into it because we have a lot to cover. There's 13 matches between the main card and the preview show. So, in the order I see them on Wikipedia, this is what we're rolling with. First up, we have the B Team versus a Revival for the Raw Tag Team Championships. This was a hard one to call. I'm going to go with the Revival just because I believe at some point they have to use them for something. I could be wrong. They may not be able to see what we as fans see in the Revival, but I do believe at some point they got to give them a decent opportunity to, get a championship and run with it. So I think the Revival's going to win here. Next up, we have Andrade Cien Almas and Selena Vega versus Rusev and Lana. I see Almas and Vega winning just for the fact that I think something's going to go on. Either Aiden English jumps ship and joins them and remains heel while Rusev and Lana transition even further into being faces, or costs Rusev and Lana the match like he has been. And I don't think that Rusev losing here, or even Lana losing here, is going to do much to their popularity, where I think it's going to do wonders for Almas and Vega to pick up the win. So that's where I think they're going to go with that. Next up, we have for the Cruiserweight Championship, Cedric Alexander versus Drew Gulak. Cedric's had a nice, decent run with this, and Drew has had an impressive streak on 205 Live. I kind of think, again, this was another one that was a toss-up, but with this being the third of 3 announced pre-show matches, I can't see all of them being won by heels. I'm more confident in the other two matches that the heels are going to win in this one. So for that reason, I'm picking Cedric Alexander to go through with this. Like I said, I think if you got people tuning into the pre-show, which I believe they still do on YouTube, I'm not 100% sure on that. But if they tune in for the free pre-show, trying to get them to buy the card or subscribe to the channel or whatever, I think you need to have at least one face win on the pre-show, which would be Cedric in this example. So I see Cedric Alexander going forward. Next up, we have The Miz versus Daniel Bryan. I think The Miz is going to win. There's a couple reasons. First, I think they want to keep this feud going. As we've seen on this past week's SmackDown, there's a lot of history in it. And I think there's more to it going forward with The Miz winning than Daniel Bryan winning. Daniel Bryan wins, he slays the dragon, so to say. And I don't think that they're quite ready to put Daniel Bryan back into the title picture yet. So I think a nice long feud with Miz kind of gives both the guys a purpose without having a belt to chase. Maybe when Bryan finally does conquer The Miz, it's to win a U.S. title or the world title or something to that effect. So I see The Miz going over here, and I see Bryan picking up the loss. Next up, we have Baron Corbin versus Finn Balor. A lot of these matches are real toss-ups, and knowing how WWE books with their weird logic on things, it's hard to pick some of these. Everything I have in me wants me to pick Finn Balor, so I'm going with Finn Balor. Much like I said with the Revival, I think at some point they have to start building Finn Balor back to being a Universal contender His popularity is insane, so I think he gets a better Corbin here. The only way I see Corbin winning is if they want to continue this down the line all the way to Survivor Series and have Corbin and Balor lead up groups against each other. Maybe Balor is on Team Angle and Corbin is on Team Stephanie McMahon or something for control of Raw. But that's the only way I see it happening. That's further down the line. Everything I have in me thinks that Balor is going to win, so I'm going with Balor. Next up, we have Shinsuke Nakamura defending his United States Championship against Jeff Hardy. I'll go with Nakamura for the win here. Jeff Hardy's in a point in his career where wins and losses mean absolutely nothing to him. He's as popular as he's ever going to be, and he's going to continue to be as popular as he's ever going to be. He's established Nakamura as well, but not so much in America. I think a nice long run with the U.S. title is going to let us forget about the feud he had with AJ Styles and how it didn't really connect as well as a lot of us fans wanted it to. I think this is going to be a way to focus on Shinsuke going forward. We already see that Jeff Hardy's in a somewhat feud with Randy Orton, so I expect him to maybe be involved. And we've seen Nakamura in a tenuous partnership with Orton, so maybe they continue the feud going forward. I see Nakamura retaining, keeping the U.S. title. Next up, we have a three-way match for the SmackDown Women's Championship. We have Carmella defending against Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair. Now, if this was going to be Carmella versus Becky Lynch, I would have went Becky Lynch all the way. The fact that they added Charlotte in gave us an X factor. Now, I think, much like we've seen Carmella pull wins out in kind of nefarious ways and underhanded ways, I think Carmella is going to use Lynch versus Flair to her advantage. While that deteriorates, I think Carmella's going to sneak a win. So Carmella goes forward with the championship, and Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair is the feud going forward on that side. But I think Carmella sneaks out a win. I think that's the reason they made it a three-way. So either, one or the other, either Lynch is going to cost Charlotte the match, or Charlotte's going to cost Becky the match, one way or the other. But I think Carmella picks up in a win with like a schoolboy or something silly. But that's how I see it. Next up, we have Seth Rollins versus Dolph Ziggler for the Intercontinental title. Famously, Rollins is going to have Dean Ambrose in his corner, and Ziggler is going to have Drew McIntyre. Ambrose is coming back as the backup for Rollins because of him being screwed by Ziggler and McIntyre so much. This is the payoff. I think Rollins wins here, gets the Intercontinental title back. Normally, I'd be against Ziggler having such a short reign as a champion because I think he's a really good, solid Intercontinental champion. But, I think this is where the payoff is. I think this is, with Ambrose being there, I think that's what evens the odds, and Rollins picks up the win. Next up, we have Kevin Owens versus Braun Strowman, and this is for the Money in the Bank contract. If Owens wins, he takes over the briefcase. I think the fact that no matter how Owens wins, whether it be count-out, disqualification, pin, or submission, he gets the briefcase. I think that's going to play into it. I think there's going to be somehow he gets Braun disqualified or counted out, so he wins the briefcase going forward. And I'm going with Kevin Owens on this one. I just think that it's obvious, but sometimes the obvious decision is the right decision. I don't think Braun needs a briefcase to challenge for the title, and I don't think he's the right guy, kind of character to carry that briefcase either. I think Owens is more of a character, an opportunist, someone that's willing to take a shortcut to carry it. I think it fits it better. I think once he wins it, you can continue the feud with Braun, where every time Owens tries to cash in, Braun stops him. But ultimately, I think Owens wins it from him because it fits better with his character. It gives him something going forward. Braun could win the championship at any point just on his own, so there's that. Next up, we have for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships, the Bludgeon Brothers versus the New Day. I'm going with the Bludgeon Brothers here. I think they're still in the process of building them as a Destroyer tag team, building them up to, at some point, there's going to be someone that overtakes them. And I think they're going to beat the New Day, much like I said on a couple of these things. I don't think a loss here for the New Day hurts them in any way or form. I think they're just as popular as they're ever going to be. Like I said with Jeff Hardy, they're not going to lose fans because of this. And I think it's going to help the Bludgeon Brothers going forward. Now, if they're building whoever to beat the Bludgeon Brothers at some point down the road, I think you have to have these wins over established great tag teams to consider the Bludgeon Brothers a great tag team. So that's why I'm going with them here. Next up, we have for the WWE title, Samoa Joe versus AJ Styles. This is a really hard one to pick. I want to go with AJ. I want to go with the face. However, he's had the title for over a year now. And that coupled with the fact that it's got personal in Samoa Joe's and AJ's head, I think Samoa Joe wins it here. I'm going to go with Samoa Joe as my pick. I think it wouldn't hurt them, and I really think they need to put some backing behind Joe to make him one of the top tier guys on this show. We could see interesting new matches after that going forward, or at least new to WWE. Joe versus Jeff Hardy, Joe versus Orton, Joe versus Nakamura for the title, or just a continuation with AJ Styles in the feud going forward. So I think something's going to happen, a little bit wonky. It's WWE, so they're going to tie, instead of this just being a great wrestling match we know it could be, they're going to tie the family storyline in here somehow. I think Samoa Joe picks up the win. Next up, we have Alexa Bliss versus Ronda Rousey for the Raw Women's Championship. Logic says that Alexa Bliss is going to win, and I'm going to stick with that. I'm going to go with logic. I'm going to say Alexa Bliss. And the reason I say logic says that, because this is what? Ronda Rousey's 5th match, 6th match, less than 10. I know that for sure. I don't know that they're ready and willing to give her the Raw Women's Championship and make her that big of a role on the show, have her where she's wrestling more than once, maybe twice a month at this point yet. She's developing quicker than anybody I can even remember, even quicker than Kurt Angle. I mean, she's taken to wrestling, and not that her judo and MMA career doesn't lend to this, but she's transitioned to wrestling flawlessly. I mean, she's a star. Rousey's the one that's eventually going to be the person they put as the face of the women's division. However, I think they're going to hold off on giving her either the Raw or SmackDown Championship all the way to WrestleMania. And I think the match for Rousey at WrestleMania is Rousey versus Charlotte Flair. That's the money match, in my opinion. So I think Alexa picks up the win here. Obviously, there's going to be something going on, whether it be Mickie James interfering, whether it be Alicia Fox interfering, a combination of the both of those, or Nia Jax somehow getting involved. I think we're going to see Bliss win, move Rousey on to something else, maybe, who knows what it would be. But I think Alexa picks up the win in some nefarious way, as I've said in a few of these. And last but not least, the the match for the Universal Championship, Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar. I'm going with Roman here, and I know it's not a popular pick. I know he's not popular. But in my opinion, if they want to make Roman Reigns the face of the company, he needs to win here cleanly and have a solid run at least to WrestleMania as the champion, beating everybody cleanly. And they haven't really done that yet with Roman. He's had, a couple reigns here and there, but they weren't long, they weren't memorable. Some of that falls on Roman's shoulders. He's not absolved from the blame. But I do believe they still see him as the face of this generation of talent. So I think that this is, logic dictates that if they're going to make him the face going forward, he has to pick up the big win over Brock. He has to win the Universal title here, and I think he has to win it cleanly. So I'm going with Roman Reigns, and basically that's my predictions. Now, before I recap it, we added a little thing for our challenges. Me and Paul were talking about to spice them up a bit. Now, when we do these, basically it's who predicts the most right. So basically you get a point per prediction. So for every one right you predict right, you get 1 point. So in other words, if I get them all right, I have 13. If I get 7, I got 7 points. You catch the drift. We've decided that we're going to add an element of surprise. While the Money in the Bank briefcase is in play, we're going to have a cash-in bonus. Now, if you can use it once, I can use it once, Paul can use it once. If we correctly predict a Money in the Bank cash-in, we get 2 bonus points. If we predict a cash-in and that person wins, we get 3 bonus points. So in other words, if I predicted the cash-in for this show, and say Braun or Owens wins the Universal title, I would get 3 points. If I predict it and one of those two, let's say Owens goes against Lesnar or Reigns and loses, I would get 2 points. So in other words, calling that they're going to cash in is 2 points. If they cash in and win, you get 3. So with that being said, I could use that here, but I'm not. I'm going to keep that in my pocket for a future show. I don't think they're going to use the call-in on this. So I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to keep that bonus in the pocket, but I wanted to mention it just so you know when you see Paul's video, he may use it. I don't know, because on these we agree to do our videos and then watch each other's videos after they're both recorded and both out there for the world. So he's not going to watch my video till he does his predictions, much like I'm not going to watch his until I do mine, if you follow me. So that being said, I'm going to not predict, no, I'm going to leave that on the board. I'm going to keep that in my pocket for a later date. And the other thing, if you've seen our prediction challenges before, there's always a punishment. Whoever loses has to take a punishment. So, we've decided to keep this one interesting for you guys. We're going to make the punishment a surprise. You're not going to know what the punishment is until you see the results video, and that's when the punishment's going to come out on that. That way it keeps you guessing. In the past, we've announced what the punishment is. We want to try this just a little bit different to spice things up a bit. Like I said, we added a little bit in, added a little bit to spice it up, make it more interesting for us, and hopefully for you guys that are watching along with us as well. Quick recap over everything we got. I have the Revival beating the B Team for the Raw Tag Team Championship. Andrade Cien Almas and Zelina Vega beating Rusev and Lana. Cedric Alexander beating Drew Gulak, retaining the Cruiserweight Championship. The Miz beating Daniel Bryan. Finn Balor beating Baron Corbin. Shinsuke Nakamura retaining the U.S. Heavyweight Championship over Jeff Hardy. Carmella retaining the SmackDown Women's Championship over Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair. Rollins winning the Intercontinental title off of Dolph Ziggler. Kevin Owens winning the Money in the Bank briefcase off of Braun Strowman. The Bludgeon Brothers retaining the SmackDown Tag Team Championship over the New Day. Samoa Joe winning the WWE title from AJ Styles. Alexa Bliss retaining the Raw Women's Championship over Ronda Rousey. And Roman Reigns winning the Universal title off of Brock Lesnar. And those are my predictions. Good luck to you, Brother Paul. I hope, again, we both do well. I hope your predictions are good, but not quite as good as mine, of course. Just kidding, my brother. You know I love you. I hope all the best for both of us. And speaking of people I love and people that I consider my friends, I still want to send a shout out to our good friend Josh Adams. Paul's also a friend of Josh's, so he knows him well as well. Josh, we're still thinking of your mother, brother. I'm still praying for my friend. If you're watching this, we still got you in our thoughts and our prayers, so hopefully she pulls through and goes forward with that. That being said, Josh had an idea. He wants me to name the viewers. I put it out in a couple videos. It's going to be, depending on when you watch this, the Thursday, basically 5 days from now. So 12 days from now. So this Thursday will be 1 week. No, actually 5 days from now, actually, because we're already gone through a week. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm thinking outside my head. 5 days from now, we're going to decide on what we're going to call you guys the viewers. Now, Josh has suggested that the viewers, you guys, be called the heels based on the show being called Heel Heat. I want to know what you think. If you got a different idea, if you think there's something else, or if you like Josh's idea. Just let me know. Hit me up in the comments. Also, hit me up with some of your predictions, what you think, how you think the show is going to go. But basically, these are my predictions for SummerSlam 2018. Good luck, Brother Paul, and thank you for watching this video. My name is George Coles, and this has been Heel Heat.